the fall of the year, there's a certain time when the stars are aligned just so, and the dead may cross over the river of life, from the land of the dead back to the land of the living. At this time of year, many people, especially Mexican people, make altars to their dead, so they might find their way back to the homes of their families and their own hearts, once more enjoying those pleasures they shared when they were alive. However, that was not the case for us. We quayed up like the other skeletons, ghosts and phantoms, dragging their chains, but we knew no one had remembered us. We would not be going home. We would simply be free in the land of the living for a short time. We found an old rust bucket internal combustion gasoline engine Toyota from '74, just as rickety as we were, and were delighted when it fired up and we started rolling along the byways, going slow and laying low, out of sight, out of mind, and we could make our way across, shades slipping through the night, leaving no track behind. We took a turn by Ghost Ranch to see if Georgia would join us, only to find that she had not come across the river and was not there. We found only this hanged man and some warnings about the old ways. How to kill a vampire? We didn't want any zombies riding with us, nor black widows either. So we skedaddled out of there and headed up to Colorado, where we could turn east. Everything takes time in this world of the living, and before we knew it, we were setting up camp in a long valley near a prison, where the road sign said, "Don't pick up hitchhikers," as if the bloody prisoners were ghouls. We heard the howl of coyotes running up the valley toward us, their guttural cries getting louder and louder. But they were afraid of our fire, and we could only see their glowing eyes and their white fangs as they circled in the shadows. In the morning, we jumped in our yellow motorized coffin and made it to Dodge City, Kansas, and the Boot Hill Cemetery, where we felt right at home. We laid around on the graves and leaned against the macabre tombstones and did a bit of socializing. Even though time was short, we moseyed down to the shoot-'em-up bar and smoked a couple of cigars and drank a lot of whiskey and gambled away our worries and our chances. Rolling along again in our bucket of bolts, we needed to stay near the just barely alive and visited a death camp, where this large herd of bovines was just waiting to die. And did they ever know it? Millions of pounds of burgers still on the hoof, mooing and milling and getting fatter and fatter as they got closer to the knacker. Imagine the wailing and gnashing of teeth that accompanied this grim and grisly scene. So we came to the middle and knew we were as far from one end as the other. We were neither here nor there. We were coming and going at the same time, not far from where we started and not far from where we ended. We got out the map and made sure, and sure enough, we were right where we were. Out there in the plains with all that waving grain, you might think we would be far, far from murky mortality, far from the grim reaper. But then we saw two nuclear cooling towers in the distance, skull and crossbones on a black background. And once again we could hear the rat-tat-tat, the requiem, the tap-tap-taps, the rattle of bones telling us that death was not far off. driving through the night with the clouds like wraiths sailing before the luminous full moon. We reached the Shenandoah Valley and the Great River and the Little Devil's Stairs, and we felt we were getting warm. Hell, fire, and all that. Brimstone, hell's own, cloven feet and devil's tail. We were getting close to our own living descendants, who might make an altar for us in the coming year. If we haunted them a bit. That opening in the stars is short-lived, and we knew when the time came we would cross the river of life again. What we needed was a good accommodation for these old bones. And here it is, just what we were looking for. Marble, neoclassical, and plenty of rooms. Lots of company. A graveyard of graveyards. Bats and spiders, ghosts and spooks. So, we thank our lucky stars and lay our heads down to sleep till next Halloween. Till we meet again another year. Till Dia de los Muertos. Till someone makes an altar for us and we can go home and with our living people welcome trick-or-treaters, goblins, trolls, elves, and fairies.